Do you ever walk into a room and instantly feel the emotional temperature shift, even before anyone speaks? Do you sense when something is wrong, even when everything looks fine on the surface? And have you ever wondered why crowded places exhaust you, while solitude restores you in ways you can't explain? This is not imagination. This is not weakness. And it is not random. And today, January 18th, 2026, this question is finding you for a reason. Because the universe does not move in chaos. It moves in pattern, in structure, in timing. And if you are here right now, listening to this, it means your awareness is being gently activated. You are not too sensitive. You are finely tuned. And your birth chart has been whispering this truth your entire life. Most people think astrology is about personality traits, sun signs, compatibility, daily horoscopes. But that is the surface layer. That is astrology as entertainment. What we are speaking about tonight is astrology as an energetic map. Your birth chart is not just a description of who you are. It is a diagram of how your nervous system interfaces with reality. It shows how information, emotion, atmosphere, and unseen currents move through you. In other words, it reveals your energetic design. Some people are built like armor. They move through life buffered, insulated, protected. Others are built like instruments. They register subtle frequencies, emotional undercurrents, shifts in mood, tension, and intention that never make it into words. If you are an empath, your chart will always show it. Because empathy is not only emotional, it is energetic. And energy always leaves a signature. You may have noticed this pattern in your own life. You can be perfectly fine and then suddenly feel heavy for no obvious reason. You may absorb the moods of people around you without trying. You may feel drained after certain conversations, even when nothing overtly negative was said. This happens because your system is designed to receive more information than most. You are not leaking energy. You are perceiving it. And until now, no one taught you how to understand this ability. Most empaths grow up believing something is wrong with them. They are told they overthink, overfeel, overreact, so they learn to harden themselves, to numb out, to second-guess their inner signals. But the truth is quieter and more profound. You were not designed to be blunt force. You were designed to be precise. And precision requires sensitivity. Your birth chart encodes this at the moment of your first breath. The sky at that instant imprints your nervous system with a specific orientation to reality. Just as gravity shapes the ocean, planetary positions shape perception, not symbolically, functionally. This is why two people can live through the same event and experience it completely differently. Their charts tune them to different frequencies of life. Some are tuned to action, some to structure, some to logic, and some to emotional and energetic depth. If you are listening to this, there is a strong chance your chart belongs to the last group, and you have always known it even if you couldn't name it. You likely feel things before they happen. You may get sudden impressions about people that later prove accurate. You may feel called to help, to heal, to listen, even when it costs you energy. And you may be quietly exhausted from carrying more emotional data than most people realize exists. This is the hidden burden of empaths. Not that they feel more, but that they are rarely taught how to filter. Your chart is not random. It is a wiring diagram. It shows where you are open, receptive, permeable. Think of it like this. Some charts are built like walls. Some are built like windows. Some are built like antennae. Empathic charts are antennae. They do not just broadcast. They receive. And right now, in this phase of the year, the universe is testing something important. Not your strength, but your discernment. This is not a season for absorbing everything. It is a season for choosing what you allow inside. Many sensitive people are being quietly overwhelmed right now. Not because life is harder than before, but because they are unconsciously carrying emotional weight that does not belong to them. The universe is watching how you respond, not how fast you move. This phase is not about action. It is about restraint, about learning the difference between compassion and self-erasure. Your chart holds the instructions, and when you understand your energetic blueprint, something changes. You stop trying to become less sensitive, and you start becoming more skillful, because empathy, when mastered, becomes perception. Perception becomes intuition, and intuition becomes guidance. But only when you understand your design. And this is where astrology becomes practical, not mystical. Your chart shows exactly where your emotional and energetic boundaries are thin. It reveals where you absorb moods, tensions, atmospheres, and intentions like a sponge. Not as a flaw, but as a function. In the chapters ahead, we will decode the specific placements that create empaths. You will begin to recognize yourself with uncomfortable accuracy. And more importantly, you will learn how to work with your nature instead of fighting it. Because your sensitivity is not the problem. Unconscious sensitivity is the problem. Awakened sensitivity is power. And tonight, something is shifting in how you see yourself. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, permanently. Because once you understand your energetic design, you can never unsee it. And your chart has been waiting for this moment. This moment will make sense later. There is a reason you feel more than others. Not because you are emotional, not because you are fragile, but because your nervous system is tuned to a wider bandwidth of reality. Some people experience life in bold, simple colors. Others experience it in subtle shades and undertones. Empaths live in the undertones, and your birth chart shows exactly why. This is where astrology stops being abstract and becomes precise. Because certain placements do not merely describe personality. They describe permeability. They show where your psychological and energetic boundaries are thin, where the world enters you more easily. These placements form what I call the empathic signature. And when you see them, you recognize yourself immediately. Let us begin with the moon. The moon in your chart governs your emotional body, your subconscious, your instinctive reactions. It is not how you think, it is how you feel before thought arrives. If your moon is in Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, your emotional field is naturally wide open. A Cancer moon does not just feel emotions, it merges with them. You instinctively attune to the emotional needs of others, often before they speak. You may notice yourself shifting moods throughout the day without understanding why. That is because your system is constantly syncing with the emotional environment around you. A Pisces moon is even more porous. This placement dissolves boundaries between self and other. You do not merely empathize, you absorb. Joy, grief, anxiety, hope. It all passes through you like weather through an open window. This is why Pisces moons need more solitude than they realize. Their system must periodically return to silence to clear accumulated emotional noise. A Scorpio moon senses what is hidden. You feel undercurrents others cannot detect, tension behind smiles, power struggles beneath politeness. This makes you deeply perceptive, but it also means you live in emotionally intense territory. You often know when something is wrong long before it becomes visible. Now consider the rising sign, the ascendant. This governs how you interface with the world energetically. It is the filter between your inner life and external reality. If you have Pisces rising, you are energetically unarmored. Your presence is soft, receptive, and open. People unconsciously deposit their stories, pain, and secrets onto you, not because you invite it verbally, but because your energy feels safe. If you have Cancer rising, your emotional radar is always active. You scan environments for safety and threat, comfort and discomfort. You instinctively attune to the mood of a room within seconds of entering it. If you have Libra rising, you absorb interpersonal dynamics. You feel when relationships are off balance. You sense emotional tension between others and often feel compelled to restore harmony, even at personal cost. Then there is Neptune, the great amplifier of sensitivity. Neptune dissolves boundaries wherever it touches. Strong Neptune placements, especially conjunct the moon, rising sun, or Mercury, create individuals who naturally experience reality in a more fluid way. You are not locked inside yourself. You are partially merged with the emotional atmosphere around you. This is why strong Neptune charts often describe feeling overwhelmed in crowds, becoming emotionally drained after intense interactions, having vivid dream, feeling connected to unseen dimensions of experience. These are not fantasies. They are neurological and perceptual realities. Your brain processes more emotional data per second than average. Now consider water dominance in the chart. If many of your planets are in Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, your psyche is designed for emotional and intuitive depth. You do not skim life. You enter it. This is why shallow environments exhaust you. You crave meaning, emotional truth, and authentic connection because your system is built to process depth, not surface noise. Air dominance, especially Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, creates mental empathy. You feel the thought forms of others. You pick up on unspoken tensions, ideas, and psychological undercurrents. Water empaths feel emotion. Air empaths feel atmosphere. Both are valid. Both are sensitive. Both require energetic hygiene. And then there are the aspects, the angles between planets. A Moon-Neptune conjunction creates emotional absorption. A Mercury-Neptune square creates intuitive perception, but mental overwhelm. A Venus-Pisces emphasis creates relational empathy, feeling others, emotional needs as your own. These are not vague influences. They are repeatable patterns found in thousands of empathic charts, which means your sensitivity is not a mystery. It is a configuration. And here is the crucial distinction most people miss. There is a difference between universal energetic, weather and personal sensitivity. Just as everyone feels a storm, but some feel it more intensely. Right now, many people feel unsettled, but empaths feel it amplified. Because transiting planets are activating your already sensitive points. For example, when Mercury retrogrades, communication becomes chaotic for many. But if Mercury touches your moon or Neptune, you feel it emotionally and energetically. You may feel foggy, drained, introspective without knowing why. If Mars transits your moon, you feel emotional agitation. If Saturn transits your Neptune, you feel spiritual heaviness. If eclipses touch your water placements, you feel collective emotional waves. Others experience events. You experience atmospheres. This is why your reactions often seem disproportionate. Not because you are overreacting, but because you are receiving more information. You are not weak. You are wide-banded. And here is where this becomes empowering. Once you understand your specific empathic placements, you stop blaming yourself for feeling overwhelmed. You realize your system is not broken, it is simply unfiltered. And filters can be learned. This is the quiet truth. Highly sensitive charts are not meant to be armored. They are meant to be trained. You were not designed to shut down your perception. You were designed to refine it, to become conscious of when you're feeling your own emotions and when you're feeling the room. This is the lesson the universe is emphasizing right now. Discernment over absorption. Because the next stage of your growth is not about feeling, more it is about choosing what you feel. And that begins with recognizing your design. In the next chapter, we will explore how to tell when your sensitivities are being activated in real time and how to trace emotional disturbances back to their true cosmic source. Because once you learn this skill, your inner world becomes quieter, clearer, and more stable. Not by becoming less sensitive, but by becoming more aware. And awareness is the beginning of mastery. One of the most confusing experiences of being an empath is this. You can be perfectly fine one moment, and then suddenly, you are not. Your mood shifts without a clear cause. Your energy drops for no obvious reason. A heaviness settles in that does not belong to any specific thought or memory. And because you cannot trace it logically, you assume it must be personal. You think, what's wrong with me? But often, nothing is wrong with you at all. What is happening is something far more precise. Your chart is being activated. Highly sensitive charts do not react only to events. They react to invisible shifts in emotional and mental atmosphere. You are not just responding to what happens, you are responding to when it happens. This is the part of astrology most people never learn. Because your nervous system is synchronized with cosmic timing. And once you see this, your inner life finally starts to make sense. Let us begin with the most common empath experience, the unexplained emotional wave. You wake up heavy, or anxious, or foggy. Nothing bad has occurred, yet your emotional field feels disturbed. This is not random. For empaths, inner states often reflect transits before conscious events appear. For example, when the moon moves through water signs, water-dominant charts feel emotionally intensified. Memories surface. Sensitivity increases. Sleep becomes vivid. When Neptune forms hard aspects to personal planets, Sensitive individuals feel spaced out, drained, or emotionally porous. When eclipses activate Moon, Neptune, or Pisces placements, empaths feel internal shifts weeks before external change becomes visible. You feel the atmospheric pressure drop before the storm arrives. This is not imagination. It is pattern recognition built into your system. Now consider this subtle phenomenon: emotional contamination. You spend time with someone and afterward feel irritated, sad, or tense even though the interaction seemed neutral. This happens because your chart allows emotional residue to linger. Strong Moon Neptune, Moon Pluto, or Pisces placements create emotional permeability. You do not simply witness others' emotional states, your nervous system mirrors them. This is why you sometimes carry emotions that are not yours. You confuse resonance with ownership, but they are not the same. Resonance means you feel it. Ownership means it belongs to you. Empaths often mistake resonance for responsibility. And this is where exhaustion begins. Your chart reveals this tendency clearly. If your moon sits in the 12th house, you unconsciously absorb collective emotional material. You feel the emotional undercurrent of environments. If Neptune aspects your moon or rising, you dissolve into emotional atmospheres. If Pisces is emphasized, your psychic boundaries are naturally thin. These are not spiritual concepts. They are psychological configurations. Your nervous system is designed to simulate emotional data, and because you were never taught to label it, you internalized it. Now let us speak about energetic static. This is the background emotional noise empaths feel during major collective shifts. Right now, many sensitive individuals feel unsettled, distracted, tired, even when life appears stable. This is because we are in a period of collective recalibration. You are not anxious about your life. You are sensing the field. Your chart makes you a barometer. And here is the key skill. You must learn to ask, is this mine or am I sensing the weather? Most people never ask this question. Empaths must, because without this discernment, you will spend your life solving problems that are not yours. Now let us look at how specific transits interact with sensitive charts. When Mercury retrogrades, empaths feel mental and emotional crosstalk. You may feel scattered, introspective, or mentally tired. When Venus retrogrades, relational empaths revisit emotional patterns from the past. When Mars triggers water placements, emotional agitation rises without obvious cause. When Saturn contacts Neptune or Moon, emotional heaviness appears a feeling of spiritual fatigue. Others experience circumstances. You experience states. This is why your inner life sometimes feels disconnected from external reality. But it is not disconnected. It is synchronized to a different layer of time. This is what mystics meant when they spoke of reading the signs. Not predicting events, but sensing phases. You are not meant to live reactively. You are meant to live rhythmically. Your chart tunes you to cycles of emotional and psychological weather. Once you understand this, your life stops feeling chaotic. You stop asking, why am I like this? And start asking, what cycle am I in? This shift changes everything, because now your inner states become information, not problems. And here is the prophetic insight for this phase. Many sensitive people are being tested right now in one specific way, not in endurance, but in emotional sovereignty. You are being shown how often you internalize what is not yours. This is not a punishment. It is training. The universe is teaching you the difference between empathy and entanglement. Empathy is awareness. Entanglement is absorption. This phase is not about closing your heart. It is about closing your filters. The world does not need you to feel everything. It needs you to understand what you feel. Because when you master this, your sensitivity stops being a liability. It becomes perception, and perception becomes guidance. In the next chapter, we will explore how to actively navigate your energetic landscape, how to ground, protect, and stabilize your field without hardening your nature. Because true strength for empaths is not armor. It is clarity. Once you understand that your sensitivity is structural, not emotional weakness, a new question emerges. How do you live well inside a system that is naturally open? Because awareness alone is not enough. Empaths do not suffer because they feel deeply. They suffer because they have never been taught how to regulate depth. This is where most spiritual advice fails sensitive people. It tells you to protect your energy without explaining how a perceptive nervous system actually works. So let us be precise. Your chart did not design you to be closed. It designed you to be coherent. A sensitive system must be clean, not sealed. Think of a musician. A violin is delicate, but it is not fragile. Its power comes from resonance. But if the strings are loose, the sound becomes distorted. If they are too tight, they snap. Empaths are the same. Your task is not to become harder. It is to become tuned. This begins with grounding. Grounding is not a metaphor. It is a neurological process. Sensitive charts, especially water and air, dominant, spend much of their awareness in the upper nervous system. Thoughts, emotions, impressions, atmospheres. You live from the chest up. This is why you feel unsteady. Your awareness floats. Grounding returns awareness to the body. When your awareness enters the body, emotional static clears. This is why simple physical actions work better for empaths than complex mental techniques. Walking slowly, feeling your feet on the floor, noticing breath in the belly, touching something solid. These are not small actions. They bring consciousness out of the emotional field and back into the physical present. A grounded empath becomes stable without becoming numb. Now let us speak about energetic boundaries. Most empaths believe boundaries are emotional walls. They are not. They are perceptual filters. A healthy boundary does not block perception. It decides what you engage with. The universe is training you in selective attention. Right now, many sensitive people feel overwhelmed because they are unconsciously attending to everything, every mood, every headline, every conflict, every emotional shift in others. Your nervous system was never meant to process the entire field at once. This phase is teaching you a quiet discipline. You do not have to carry what you can observe. Observation is enough. This is the difference between wisdom and burden. When you learn to witness emotional energy without merging with it, your system stabilizes. This is the skill that turns empaths into healers, guides, and stabilizers. Not because they absorb chaos, but because they remain coherent inside it. Now consider shielding. True energetic shielding is not forceful. Force creates tension. Tension increases sensitivity. The most effective shield is clarity of identity. When you are deeply rooted in your own internal state, foreign emotions do not cling. This is why emotional self-knowledge is protection. Ask yourself regularly, what am I actually feeling right now? Not philosophically, practically. Name your own emotional state before entering environments. When you know your baseline, foreign emotions stand out. They no longer blend invisibly into your psyche. This is how you separate resonance from ownership. Now we speak of transmutation, because empaths are not meant only to manage sensitivity. They are meant to transform it. Your chart often gives you a rare ability, emotional alchemy. You can take difficult emotional material and metabolize it into understanding, compassion, and wisdom, but only if you do not drown in it first. This is why many sensitive people evolve later in life. Early life is spent overwhelmed. Midlife is spent learning boundaries. Later life becomes mastery. You are likely in the middle phase now, learning not how to feel less, but how to feel cleanly. And here is the deeper guidance of this period. You are being taught restraint. Not emotional coldness, but emotional economy. Where to invest energy, where to withdraw, where to observe instead of absorb. This is not selfishness. It is calibration. The universe is not asking you to save everyone. It is asking you to remain intact. Because a clear empath becomes a stabilizing presence in chaotic times. A confused empath becomes another casualty. This phase is not about dramatic transformation. It is about quiet refinement, of attention, of energy, of emotional placement. And this refinement is preparing you for the final stage. Because once you can navigate your energetic landscape, you are ready to master your gift. In the next chapter, we will explore how empathy becomes intuition and intuition becomes purpose. Because your sensitivity was never meant only for survival. It was meant for contribution. There comes a moment in every empath's life when something subtle but irreversible happens. You stop asking how to survive your sensitivity and start asking how to use it. This is the turning point. This is where the narrative changes from burden to calling, because your chart never intended your perception to remain unmanaged forever. Highly sensitive configurations are not evolutionary accidents. They appear consistently in the charts of counselors, healers, artists, mediators, teachers, spiritual guides, and quiet stabilizers of their families and communities. Not because these people feel more, but because they perceive more, and perception, when refined, becomes guidance. This is the hidden trajectory of empathic charts. Early life, emotional overwhelm. Middle phase, boundary learning. Later phase, perceptual mastery. You are being guided into the third phase, and this is not dramatic. It is quiet. It happens the moment you realize your sensitivity is not a flaw to correct, but an instrument to tune. Now let us be precise. Your empathy becomes a gift when three capacities mature: discernment, stability, direction. Without discernment, you drown in emotional noise. Without stability, your intuition becomes distorted by mood. Without direction, your perception lacks purpose. Your chart contains all three potentials. Let us begin with discernment. When your awareness is trained, you can tell the difference between intuition and anxiety, compassion and obligation, resonance and responsibility. This is what separates wise empaths from exhausted ones. A wise empath can feel deeply without losing center. This is not emotional detachment. It is emotional clarity. You still feel, but you are no longer pulled by every current. Now, stability. Stability is emotional gravity. It is what keeps your inner world coherent, regardless of external turbulence. When your system is grounded, your sensitivity stops fluctuating wildly. You become emotionally consistent. Others begin to feel calmer around you, not because you try to soothe them, but because coherence is contagious. This is the unspoken power of trained empaths. They regulate the field simply by remaining centered. And finally, direction. Empathy becomes a gift only when it serves something larger than self-protection. Your chart usually points to this. Many empaths have strong 12th house, 8th house, Neptune, or Pisces themes. These placements orient consciousness toward collective experience, healing, psychology, spirituality, and unseen dimensions of life. You are not meant only to understand yourself. You are meant to understand human nature. This is why people naturally confide in you, not because you are available, but because your presence feels clarifying. Others feel seen around you. This is not accidental. Your nervous system mirrors emotional truth. When you are regulated, you reflect people back to themselves. This is the beginning of your quiet influence. And here is the deeper insight. True empathic mastery is not about emotional intensity. It is about emotional accuracy. The mature empath does not feel more, they feel more clearly. And clarity brings calm. This is why advanced empaths appear grounded, not fragile. They still perceive deeply. They are simply no longer flooded. This is what the universe is cultivating in you now. Not greater sensitivity, but greater refinement. You are being shaped into someone who can sense deeply without losing structure. This phase is not about expanding your emotional range. It is about stabilizing it. There are moments in life when nothing dramatic seems to be happening on the surface, yet everything is rearranging underneath. This is one of those moments, because soon your presence will matter more than your reactions. People will not come to you for emotional fireworks. They will come for emotional clarity. And this is how your chart becomes a tool of service rather than struggle. But this mastery requires one final shift. You must stop identifying as someone overwhelmed by energy and start identifying as someone responsible for energy. Stewardship replaces victimhood. This is the moment you outgrow the label too sensitive. You realize sensitivity is not something happening to you. It is something you manage. And this changes your relationship with yourself. You stop trying to escape your nature. You begin to trust it. Because once you are regulated, your intuition becomes remarkably precise. You begin to sense timing. You know when to speak and when to remain silent, when to move and when to wait, when something is aligning quietly beneath the surface. This is not mysticism. It is pattern perception matured into wisdom. And this is what your chart has always been guiding you toward. Not survival, but stewardship of perception. In the final chapter, we will bring all of this together, and I will speak directly to what is quietly aligning in your life right now. Because this is not only about who you are, it is about who you are becoming. especially for sensitive, empathic people. Right now, you may feel as though you are in between versions of yourself, no longer who you were, not yet who you are becoming. Old emotional patterns are loosening, but the new structure has not fully formed. This can feel disorienting, not painful enough to name as crisis, not clear enough to feel like progress, just unsettled. For empaths, this in-between state is especially intense because you feel internal shifts before external reality catches up. You sense change before it arrives. And at this point in the cycle, January 2026, the collective field is moving through a slow recalibration of perception, boundaries, and emotional responsibility. Not a loud reset, a quiet one. This is a season of internal restructuring, and sensitive charts are always affected first. While others are distracted by surface events, empaths are already being repositioned internally. This is why many of you feel less tolerant of emotional chaos, more selective about relationship, drawn toward solitude and clarity, unwilling to carry others the way you once did. This is not withdrawal. It is maturation. The universe is not making you colder. It is making you cleaner. What is being tested right now is subtle but decisive. Not how much you care, but how wisely you care. You are being asked to distinguish between compassion and entanglement, between helping and rescuing, between love and emotional overextension. This is not a punishment. It is preparation, because the next phase of your life will require clarity of perception. Your intuition is sharpening, but a sharper instrument requires steadier hands. This is why distractions feel heavier now, why shallow interactions exhaust you faster, why emotional chaos feels intolerable. Your system is being refined, and refinement always feels like loss before it feels like gain. You may notice old roles dissolving. You may no longer be the emotional container for everyone. You may no longer feel responsible for fixing people. You may feel less available and more real. This is alignment. The universe is quietly withdrawing you from emotional labor that no longer matches your level of awareness. This phase is not about expansion. It is about precision, cutting away emotional noise, strengthening internal structure, learning to hold depth without drowning in it. This is why the pace feels slow, because structural change must be stable to last. And here is the deeper truth. You are being trained to become a steady presence in unstable times. Not dramatic, not performative, but grounded. Your sensitivity is being reshaped into emotional intelligence. Where you once absorbed, you will soon interpret. Where you once reacted, you will soon understand. Where you once carried, you will soon guide. This is the quiet initiation of mature empaths. It does not come with visions or fireworks. It comes with boundaries that feel strangely natural, with a growing intolerance for chaos, with a desire for coherence. You are learning to live from inner order instead of emotional reflex. And the universe is watching something carefully. Not how fast you grow, but how cleanly you grow. This is not a time to rush decisions, not a time to force clarity. This phase is about restraint, about allowing your nervous system to settle into its new configuration. Because what is aligning is not an event. It is a capacity, the capacity to remain open without being overwhelmed. This is the rare balance empaths spend a lifetime developing, and you are closer than you think. In the final chapter, I will bring this full circle and speak directly to what this means for your path forward, because this awareness is not meant to remain theoretical. It is meant to change how you live. Everything we have spoken about leads to this point, not to a revelation about astrology, but to a revelation about you, because your chart was never meant to be a description. It was meant to be an instruction manual, and the deeper you understand your empathic design, the clearer your path becomes. You were never meant to spend your life overwhelmed by emotion. You were meant to become someone who understands emotion. This is the difference. Most people live inside their feelings. Empaths are meant to observe them, not coldly wisely. Your sensitivity is not meant to control you. It is meant to inform you. This is the transition now underway. You are moving from emotional reactivity into emotional authority, not dominance over others' mastery of self. And this is why recent experiences may have felt strangely educational. Situations that forced you to say no